Alright, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. I am back. Last week I was talking about defunding the police and why I think it's a good idea. Today I'm gonna bring light to a situation, prison labor and the cost of police, the cost of incarceration, the physical, mental, and social, the physical, social, economic, and mental costs of incarceration. So to start us, police. To start us off, I'll go some water, hydrate. And prison labor, real quick, it is labor in prison. There's different types, but what I'm gonna talk about real quick is, the laundry, working in the laundry, being a cook, doing maintenance, that kind of stuff. That's one example. Lifting rocks, putting them up and down. I don't know if that's still practice, but I can still see laundry and being a cook still being a practice thing today. And there's also the PICP, which I still know is in practice today. It's a program that allows private companies like Whole Foods or Victoria's Secret and sometimes military contract or to hire and train prisoners to create products that companies then sell. And they promise higher wages, but if it is given, it's most likely garnished. It's most likely taken away as room and board, and prisoners get cents a day for their work. And there's a few proponents and opponents for this. One being a woman who used to be a prisoner. She said that it provided her someplace to work, to contribute to society, despite being a prisoner, and all that good stuff. And she's like, yeah, companies can come in and teach people how to do these things, and they'll pay more, which is a lie because prisoners still get shit pay. But they're prisoners, so what do we care? Well, we should care because it's not just prisoners who pay, but it's their families who pay as well. Because believe it or not, they have family members that want to see them. They have children that want to see them. They have brothers, sisters, mothers, aunts, uncles, wives, spouses that want to see them and make sure they're doing good. But it's costly to do such a thing. There's private phone companies in prisons that have monopoly over phones, so they can charge whatever they want, and you gotta pay because you want to talk to your homeboy, your homegirl, or whomever. You want to make sure they're good, and it's proven that actually talking to prisoners, them having relationships, well, them talking to those that they have relationships with, be it exotic, platonic, or familial, it helps with their mental state. Because they're already in a prison, they're getting fucked. No pun intended. Mentally, they are getting fucked. So yeah. What else? On top of that, family members or spouses or friends may send gifts or may pay for commissary for the prisoners so they can get extra snacks or stuff. But those are expensive. There was mentioned that some prisons may use a catalog instead of family members being able to pay for specific items outright. So there's that to factor in as well. And what the report I read what they mostly talked about was life outside, what life was like for family members and for those who leave prison, those who were incarcerated, what they face. And what they face is discrimination because they were in prison, and a loss of resources, and a loss of most of them a loss of the ability to climb the social economic ladder. Mind you, the report was done. Most of what I read was done in 2015 and or 2010, like 10, 5, 15 years ago. Some of them recent, like 2017. But most of it is old, but it could still apply today because I doubt there's a wide range of progressive laws passed for prisoners to allow them to continue using to allow them to access these resources. Because honestly, prisoners can't access they are unable to access the program in most cases, from what I've read. They are unable to get loans for school to continue education. They are finding a job is a whole lot harder for them. They are unemployed, and unemployed means you are not working and looking for work. Or they do get employed with part-time jobs or jobs that lead nowhere, that doesn't allow them to increase their wages or anything like that. So it's dead-end jobs, basically, that they can get. If they do get lucky to get a job, they depend on family and friends a whole lot for work. And even in prison, they depend on family and friends. But the cost of imprisonment weighs on family and friends as well, because, like I said before, they have to pay for other things. They have to pay for the commissary of talking to prisoners on the phone, the family and friends on the phone. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. And yeah, going back to education, there's 27% of prisoners out of the 60 to 70% of prisoners want to go back to school, want to get a higher education, college-wise. Only 27% actually get to do that because of the cost, because they are paying for school out of pocket, and we know how expensive school is. We know, and they can't get a job. Most of them can't get a job because employers won't hire ex-cons just because they are discriminated against, on top of being Afro-American or Latino, because the study was done on poor families, and most of the poor families were poor. Most of the, all was done on the poor, mostly on the poor, and most of the poor families were Afro-American and Latino. So because they come from a poor background, on top of their skin color, and on top of being incarcerated, they are less likely to get a job. It increases their chances of not getting a job. Although they could qualify, because there are ways to get skills in prison, but sometimes they either don't apply outside, or, like I said, employers don't want to hire them because they were incarcerated before. So what happens is, this is a cycle that starts off of being poor, being at the bottom of the ladder, and not having enough resources to climb up. Because unfortunately, you need money. Now, there are a few ways to get out of to get from the bottom, but only a select few make it. It is possible, but the probability is a lot lower, and it's a lot harder, and the chances come a lot lower once you've been incarcerated. And yeah, the report mentions what can be done to lift the load off of convicts, because also once they get out, they have to pay fees, and they have to pay fees and fines for probation or supervising, or for being supervised. And if they are unable to pay these fees, and or they are unable to pay child support, because 80% of women who are incarcerated, 80% of women who are incarcerated are parents, and a high percentage of men, ages 30 to 40, are parents as well. they owe child support, and it just doesn't stop. It just kind of accumulates, and when they get out, they have to pay. But because they weren't working, or they were working, or most of the wages were taken away, they can't afford it, and there's a possibility that they would end up. There's a possibility that they would end up being incarcerated due to not being able to pay not being able to pay their bills, their dues, or or whatever, or because they can't find a job, because they can't provide for the families, because they are at risk of being evicted for the sole fact of being an ex-con, for the sole fact of you being related to an ex-con, or someone living at your place that was an ex-con. They're in danger of being evicted, and they can't access resources they can't access SNAP or other resources. They go back to crime. They go back to what they were doing before, which increases recidivism, and they end up being incarcerated. So that's how the cycle starts, and that's how it gets repeated. Because either the social programs are in place now, or shit, or it's not enough. It's not enough funding to actually make a dent. And also, over 50% of those incarcerated had mental illness. So you have a mental illness. It's exacerbated in prison because officers are not trained to deal with that. They're trained to just watch over you and supervise and make sure you follow the rules of said prison. When healthcare is just horrible there, obviously because of prisoners. Who really cares about prisoners? I mean, they commit a crime. It could be something as simple as being homeless, or not being able to pay not being able to pay your fees after you get released or whatever. But because they are criminals, it's like no matter what they do, it's like, oh, once a criminal, always a criminal, which isn't necessarily true. But I digress. If you want to read about this and other sources, I'm linked them below. Show your thoughts and opinions, be respectful. Please don't come and be one-sided and not try to hear anything other than what you want to hear. That goes for both ways. Yeah, there's going to be people who commit crime just because. I'm not saying abolish prisons. I'm just saying there needs to be a better system in place, because what we have now is not working, because some get out and some go back in, and then it weighs too much on the family. It's not as simple as, oh, don't commit crimes, but you can't provide for yourself and your family. Do you just live on the street? Do you just become homeless, or do you find a way? It may not be the best way, but do you find a way to provide? So again, I would like to hear your thoughts, but listen to other people, and don't listen to other people who have different opinions, because that's how you learn, that's how you grow. Until next time, peace.